Hey, what is up? It's your buddy Todd. And have you ever found yourself frustrated, like kind of pissed off because the work that you're doing, like each and every day and every year along your career, isn't generating anything recurring to the point where your snowball isn't getting larger and every month you're starting your snowball over? And in order to cover your expenses, you start back at point zero every month. Well, if so, there's a smarter way to make money. And I want to introduce you to my friend Shawn Hull. He is the best-selling author of A Smarter Way to Make Money. He's going to be right here coming up after these words.
This podcast is brought to you by the Wirebuzz team. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because I've spent the past decade growing Wirebuzz into a digital marketing powerhouse designed to maximize clarity in complex sales processes so we can help accelerate revenue. And we do this in 3 phases. Phase 1, we transform your website to function like your best salesperson and then also incorporate persuasive on-demand sales videos. Now your entire team is aligned on messaging and they're injecting massive clarity into your prospect's head. So your site looks great, but it also has engaging content that helps your team sell on demand 24/7. The next phase, phase 2, we train your sales and marketing teams to sell remotely or in person to expand the impact of your sales team. And the third phase is we develop and run targeted ads to your prospects. Scale those ads to help you achieve more business results. Sign up for the Wirebuzz Company newsletter to learn more about effective and simple ways to improve your company messaging, attract more digital attention, and ultimately make more sales.
You know, there's a smarter way to make money. And if you've ever gone through the frustration that Lord knows that I have at times in my life, there are these like sages that we can run into along the way that can show us how to build a business that feeds us monthly so we don't have to always be starting at point zero. And that's why I've got to introduce you to my dear friend, Shawn Hull. He is the founder and CEO of Blue Coast Savings. And 3 times in a row, this dude's got his company on the Inc. 5000 list, honored as one of the fastest growing privately held businesses in the U.S. Shawn, welcome to the Toddcast.
Hey, Todd Harley, anytime I can be in your presence, it's an honor, my friend.
I feel the same way, dude. Talk to me about this. Like, where in your life did you realize first that recurring revenue, which is really like the base of all this conversation is about, where did you first realize that there was a difference between doing deals and doing recurring and that you had a preference for recurring revenue?
Oh, Todd, it's a great question. So, look, I call it mailbox money, right? Love mailbox money because you just walk out to your mailbox and it's there and the mailman keeps coming, right? And so you ever see those gerbils, Todd? Like you walk by, in your pet shop and they're in that little thing. They're just doing this, right? They're going round and round,
Yes.
chasing themselves. And I'm like, oof, it's a lot of work, right? I'm like,
yeah,
I'd like to step off of that and let that thing kind of run by itself, right? And so I fell in love about 30 years ago. I got lucky and got into prepaid phone cards when they first were introduced to the United States. And I got involved in a direct selling company and I actually got paid daily. Not just monthly, but daily. And I'd walk out to my mailbox. I'm like, wait a second. I think I did that work like 2 months ago and I still keep getting checks. I'm like, there's something to this, right? There's something to this. And then as I, started off more in my business career, I really got in the business services world. And I said, if I can go figure out how to solve some of the biggest problems for companies in America, just bring them just crazy value that they didn't want to unwind it. I bet you they'd stay on that and they'd keep paying me because they'd want to keep doing it. And I did that. And so I'm a big fan of do the work once and keep getting paid for the next 10, 20 years without adding more time or value. And I figured, everyone's kind of chasing hours versus dollars and they're trying to chase a big project or a big real estate transaction or hoping that their big investment pays off. And I said, man, there's nothing about just consistent money without having to add more time because you just can't get ahead. It's like an attorney, Todd. You only have so many hours to charge, right? And so, I didn't want to be in that bucket. So that's where I started falling in love with residual income.
So this is a type of income that like, is generated from business on a consistent and periodic basis. Is that a fair way of saying it? It just keeps coming as long as they're still engaged.
Correct. As long as that client is engaging in that particular product or service and they're maintaining that value. So therein lies making sure you have those types of correct and right projects, right, or services. It just keeps, I'll give you a good example during COVID, Todd. We had one of my particular services. Every month when a company pays its vendors, pays its bills, we got paid. And in the worst of times, when people were like, "I wonder what's going to go happen and what's going on," and because there's
Mm-hmm.
uncertainty in the world, it's always going to exist. We still got paid because companies still paid their bills or they go out of business. And so those are
Yep.
things that I want to have in place that just bring massive value.
And it's consistent. I just got out of a meeting with my CFO on one of the three businesses that I'm running right now because I'm a glutton for punishment. And she said to me, I have a hard time forecasting this business, right? And I was like, yeah, we're having a hard time forecasting this business because it isn't residual income like Shawn is going to talk about in my very next meeting. Shawn, you just dropped the new book, A Smarter Way to Make Money. So it's kind of a paradigm shift for a lot of people that have been working for hours
Right.
or working for projects. And what kind of businesses would provide residual income for people? Can you paint that picture?
So look, my mission is to serve business professionals, right? And show them a smarter way to stop trading, to not put their, corporate means you're not in control and it doesn't mean just because we have some money in 401k that we're going to be protected in life. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, Todd, and my mission is to bring certainty. And so how we do that is that we go in and solve these massive problems for companies. And in fact, we can kind of do that for all 32 million businesses in the United States and the millions that are in Canada, to be quite frank. So
Oh, look
our
at you.
market,
I love it. You're like, I'm just getting started.
I
And
am.
they're still like you're such an underachiever. It's ridiculous. Um, so like for example, I know a little bit about your business and I've had the I've had the honor to become a friend and I know that you have a series of services that your sales representatives or account executives, hey, do me a
Mhm.
favor. Let's take two steps back. Let's talk about your business and let's just kind of introduce people to it. Let's talk about the concept and then explain how the residual income fits in. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, listen, I appreciate it. And you're part of this. I mean, business is putting a puzzle together. How good is your
Yeah.
puzzle? How big is your solution? And if you can value the heck out of your business, you're just going to go crush it, right? So
Right.
I have two models, Todd. I found that for 23 years, I've had Blue Coast Savings, and that's sort of a place that business professionals wanted to get out of their corporate job. They knew that that wasn't probably going to give them the security that they wanted, and because they weren't in control. Or there's people that
Right.
retired, or maybe they're on the golf course, Todd, next to you in Scottsdale, and they were like, you know what, I'm kind of tired of golf, and I want to go do something that's meaningful, right? I want to go help people. I want to use my life experiences that I've had in my corporate career and go crush it and help people. But I don't want risk and
Right.
overhead and all that kind of stuff and employees. Or maybe I've got people into business and they come across my business model. I go, oh, doing the work once, getting paid 10 to 20 years is way better than going out and having to start over and over and over and over and over to make money.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, this guy I think's got it figured out. So I've got two companies, and so I can really kind of serve most all business professionals. One where people come into Blue Coast and they kind of make that their career, right? I have all the tools, third party marketing. They get resources like you, like, oh, how do I do a video and book a discovery call and blah, 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 and all these different amazing things that we offer. I think we have over 100 different programs, actually, all combined. 100 different ways to
Amazing.
save companies money. It's unreal. So we pioneer new things, and that's been our thing. And then I've created aspirepartners.com, and we're getting probably about 6,000 inquiries right now per month, Todd, to that company per month.
Bananas. Wait,
People
this is 6,000 inquiries for people that have existing relationships that they would like to
Right.
operate at within your template to
Right.
develop
Right.
residual income. Is that
So you
accurate?
could be absolutely. You could be a fractional CFO, Todd. You could be a sales manager. You could be a fractional CEO. You can be anything. But these are folks that have a great market. They know they want to bring value to that market. They're going to probably keep their job, but they will. They have never seen in their lifetime a way to make money like I've shown them by simply setting up a discovery call and booking a meeting with someone that they know, right, already. And so we've got hiring managers that interview these individuals and just want to make sure that they're that right fit, that they've got that. So we can really serve the masses, Todd. If people don't want to just actually make this their full, of course they get in, they go, holy cow, this is a way better way to do things. But we want to be able to serve people and show them that first, and make it very simple for people to join. But yeah, we're averaging between 6 and 8 thousand inquiries right now, actually per month. It's
Oh my God. So
yeah, we're doing
just
some
give
jobs
you
right now to
guys,
keep up.
which ends up becoming one of the largest sales forces in the country
But there's no
is,
business in the world that's got a warm market business like I put together. Doesn't exist. So I have got the biggest distribution channel for businesses that have a warm market relationship.
and the net result for somebody that inquires is they're building their own residual income on a monthly basis, which candidly is a frigging game changer instead of chasing the monthly nut. And this is what I amongst the many reasons that I value the time that I get to talk with you, because I think this is like a paradigm shift for people.
Right.
Most people
It's
just we weren't trained about residual income growing up, right? Like you didn't go and have a class about it, did you?
well, no, and I think some people think of that, Todd, as like maybe Mary Kay or an MLM or like, hey, I'm going to go to vitamins, and nothing against those companies. They deliver great products. Who I serve is I bring massive value to businesses, so I solve their problems. And so what I'm also trying to do in times right now of inflation, post recession, world unrest, there's always going to be hills and
Just to
valleys. And
name a
what
few.
Tony, Tony says winter is right. There's always seasons,
Right.
right, Todd, that I learned from
Yes.
Tony, and that's why we always have seasons. And so what I want to do is prosper in those seasons, and I don't want to freeze to death in those seasons, right? And so what I
Right.
want to do is prepare people so that things like COVID or the 2008 financial crash, which I crushed it back then, and I crushed it during COVID, and I'm crushing it now, is because I go out and I find these massive value propositions that companies need. We're really not charging them for it, and they're going to need them anyways. And through a relationship aspect there with our business professionals, we connect the dots. Like we're matchmaking service that's the ultimate matchmaking services in the business arena, right? And so when you can serve that and bring massive value, then you get that in return. But look, I don't want to go out and sell a project or a consulting gig. There's so many people just, and look, there's great people that just, but they keep doing it. I'm like, well, wait a second. Let me just do that once. It's so good. It's going to serve it. I can get paid the next 10 to 20 years, and I don't have to service that client because my vendors do that for me.
Right. Right. It's a okay. I love, like, it'd be the perfect job for me if any of you are listening, listen up for this moment. The perfect job for me would be to go around and talk with people about their different business models. And the one that I love the most is the one that Shawn Hull is talking about, because as you get started and you start investing your time, every month should be a build on the work that you did the months and years in the past, and
Well
it should
said.
show up in your mailbox money. And like,
Right.
I don't think, Shawn, like one of the things that I think is an incredible gift in this conversation is opening up people's eyes to the idea that money doesn't have to just come from trading time,
Right.
and that
Um,
and that you
that's
can
old
actually
school.
make
I call it old school stinking thinking, Todd. That's what we're trained to do, and we
right,
got to get out of the merry-go-round, right? You got to get off that train and get a different train. And so, look, like things are different. I think you're a perfect testimony of that. You're showing people in this day and age, which is a lot different than 2, 3 years ago, even, of how to communicate. and have clarity in your conversations with your prospects. And so what I'm trying to do is there's so much going on right now. I want to be able to serve business professionals. So think about this. I can go help someone with zero risk, $0, simply submitting a relationship that they have. I totally get them comfortable. There's no downside.
Yep.
There's no reputational risk to what I do. And there's nothing in America legally that you can keep getting paid that way every month for that period of time. And that's what's so exciting about it. I want to, and people need to do that because look, 80% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. People's 401ks are going down. Look what's going on in real estate right now. Look at your interest rates. We're always going to have
Right.
an ebb and flow. And so I want to protect people from that. So in my book, I called it storms. You got to prepare for storms. There's always going to be storms in business. And are you going to thrive or die? And you want to thrive. And that's where I'm showing people how to just do things a smarter way. And there are some simple ways to do it.
Are there some basic templates in your mind of how somebody can evaluate a business for preparing themselves to get through storms easier? Like where the business model is recurring revenue? Is there like a simple template for somebody to evaluate when they're looking at something to say, I don't want to be on this merry-go-round anymore. I want to follow what Shawn is saying, and I want to get myself to the point where I'm not pushing the rock up the hill every month. Instead, the hill is growing and it's my money that's coming to me.
So I wrote this book to serve people because I told people don't ever buy a business and don't ever look at earning income without reading this book. And to your point, Todd, in storms, I walk people through. Look what happened to, I've got people that after the 2008 financial crash, Todd, had lost hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate, hundreds of millions. So we all have heard the adage, don't put your eggs in one basket, right? Most of us, most professionals have their eggs in one basket. That could be a corporate job. That could be one business. Let's look at restaurants, Todd. During COVID, how many of your friends that had restaurants, how well did they do? Now, unless they
and my favorite restaurants got crushed.
Right. And I bleed for them because their expenses were going through their restaurant, right? So now then there's how businesses change. Then there's the great employee resignation. So if you're in a business that had a lot of employees, boy, you had to really your hands tied because you're really trying to find good talent. So what I'm trying to do during COVID is try to find a business that's going to thrive in storms, that's not centrally located. Think about what happened to distribution during COVID. It was real hard to get products to your end consumer. And so it's supply chain issues. So you had to watch for supply chain issues. What if you had a gym? What if you had a retail establishment, right? So what was going on with gyms back then? What if 5 people ended up opening up a gym next to you? And let's say you bought a franchise. And so I walk people through how to, if you're going to look at a business.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, but what if someone opens up 5 franchises? Here where I'm at, there was a car wash, and then my wife and I were just driving down the street the other day, and we noticed 8 different self-service car washes on the same road. Well, that just then everyone's profit margins down, right? Like that.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is help people be smart. And if you're going to put capital outlay, boy, you need to do your homework and make sure that you get past the hype and get into, is this the proper business decision? What's my overhead going to be? How can storms affect this business? Am I going to thrive or die? Because sometimes you get one shot at life, and it's important that we make better, smarter decisions up front before we do things. So I wrote this book so that people can have a guideline. I didn't want them just to serve my business. I want to say, hey, look, pay attention to these things. They're real. They've happened. They will happen again. How are you going to look in that situation? And look, I'm also about, so many people work for the end of the road. I'm more about the journey. So my mission is to help people. So if you can help people along the way, and I know you're huge on that, Todd, you get such a kick out of like valuing the heck out of people. You did for my company, way and above and beyond ever what I expected. And so when you can do those kinds of things, but you can bring value, I want to show people how you can really live your best life now. You don't have to have $100,000, $500,000, $1 million to start a business and be successful. In fact, the days of putting that kind of capital out are old school stinking thinking, I call it. that's a road and a highway to Brokeville, in my opinion. So what I'm
Yeah.
trying to teach people, there are smarter ways. You can pick up any assets you need these days like that on Uber. So I walk people through, how do I find Fiverr? How do I find my talent? How do I get a funnel bill? How do I book discovery calls? Oh, Todd Harley, how do I hire a good attorney to evaluate business? How do I find a good CPA like Tyler McBroom to keep, not just make money, but
Right.
keep my money? So I really give everyone the entire picture of what they're going to need. But I'm not a fan of overhead, and I'm not a fan of overhead that goes against profit. So I'm a
Right.
fan of keeping profit in my pocket.
I love this. Well, that's the whole goal, right? Like I just walked through financials in my last meeting, and all of that overhead sucks away the joy of the work that you just did. So we want to keep it minimal. I also know that there's a lot of liberation that people can experience in their life when they start working smarter and they get to that point. Hey, you know what? It's interesting. Something I've noticed about you. You're always in Canai. For those that don't know, that's CANI, and it stands for constant and never ending improvement. And like you're obsessed with accelerating
Really
the
am.
path to win more often. And have you always been open to learning new things, like always been trying new things, or did you ever get stuck being too comfortable? Because, comfort's the enemy of growth. So, like, where did you learn this desire to be learning and innovating and not stalling out?
So it's interesting you said that. Part of when I wrote my book, the most important thing that someone told me to, and who this person is, they said, Sean, you gotta be vulnerable, right? And so my vulnerability, part of my growing up in Tucson, hence you and I went to University of Arizona, my old stomping grounds. Yeah, baby, World Wildcats. So bear down. And so I think part of it was survival time. That
Yeah.
I had a rough childhood, but then I was so fortunate for my grandparents in Tucson to raise me. They were World War II vets. They were the greatest
Yeah.
generation. They were amazing, and so I was so
Amazing.
blessed.
I was raised by
But
my grandparents also, bro.
so I mean, it was the best experience, and they adopted me. I mean, I would never train for the world, but prior to that was a rough go. But it makes you independent and knowing that you better work to survive or you better take care of yourself. And so I think at early age that was instilled on me. Now, as we all are young and have to go through doing mistakes and doing stupid stuff and working, I have a great story in my book about working in a Mexican restaurant, getting fired for it because I was talking too much as a busboy to the patient, and I was getting tips from the customers as a busboy. And I was like, that's not good, Sean. So they called my family and fired me. They said, we love you guys, but we got to fire Sean. So he was talking too much to the clients, and as a kid, it was great. And so I anyway, so I knew that if you sit, you won't survive. And so I knew that you have to constantly, to your point, I have always, since my 20s, been in the constant ever improvement. And and then as I got older and I learned from experts like Tony Robbins, like, okay, how to measure those things, right? Like, okay, that's great, but there's certain things in your company you have. And then I'm like, let's measure the residuals to this. And, thank goodness I learned not to have your eggs in one basket because something can come in and disrupt that. And all of a sudden you're out of business. And so I did a real simple. Let's have a lot of services. It can weather all storms. They're all bring value to clients. They all pay for 5, 10, or 20 years. And there's multiple aspects to it. And I knew if you can have that algorithm, it was just going to be a better way than what most everyone else is doing to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
beautiful.
I think
I'm
I
like
think more
really,
importantly, you better love what you do. And so I get fired up if I go in and I put $10 million of savings into a company, or I
yeah.
totally streamline their operations, and I totally change the makeup of their business. Um, I know I did something good. And so, because if you're not going to love it, you shouldn't do it. You have no business doing it because that means your why is not going to be in order. And so in my book, in fact, I start, oh, Sean's going to talk about the why. I mean, that is so, to me, one of the most important things that people skip over because
Mhm.
those are the days, if your why's not strong, you won't do the work necessary that it takes. If you get a no, or like, I can't get into that meeting, or my video doesn't look as good, or Todd didn't like my video, whatever it was. But those things are
That's
so
probably it.
important. Um, right. It's like, it's, I think you gotta love what you do.
Yeah. It's for me, the work passion for the outcome and how it impacts people is the fuel that makes me work long hours and to do it with an open, loving heart because I know that I'm helping people win. And I know one of the things that you and I have in common, the many things, is that we both have that same strong sense of mission tied with our work. And hey, speaking of which, how did how did you and I get connected? I know that I met you at
So
Tony events, but how did we get
I'll tell you where
started?
we got. I tell you, we've got a great story with you, Todd. But I want to commend. So one thing I appreciate about is, look, the world's changing. I've got, I am. There's a lot of talk out there. You get on like so many people. Like you go on Facebook and there's a million opportunities, Todd. You One thing one of the great things I appreciate about you is you're accountable, you're always consistent. And I think that's something
Thank
that
you.
people miss these days is being consistent. And so you're a consistent value generator, not just when it's easy for you, but when it's hard for you. And that is the traits that if people can follow and mimic, it's great. And so look, this is not complicated, everybody listening, watching this podcast. The more value you bring, the more you're going to get in return. That's how life works. It's got to be that is a simple math equation. If you bring phenomenal value, now you got if you're smarter and you make sure that value delivers every month, and it does that happen for 10, 20 years, and hey, that's really great. Like what I do.
That's an
But Todd,
exponential smartness.
it's an exponential smart. So where I got to so to your thing, constant improvement. I went to Business Master and also went to UPW, and my wife and I, right after COVID came out, Tony Robbins held the first live event in West Palm Beach, and
That's right.
this crazy guy came on stage. I think he had a purple or blue outfit. I'm like, there's a
I
sharp
did.
guy,
I had a purple
and
leather jacket, dude.
he had a purple. That's what it was, and I'm like, yeah, check him out, man. It's like Barney but smaller. And I said, this guy's hot. He's really cool. You had swag. You know what I'm saying? Some people just talk,
Yeah.
but you had swag. Yeah, you can't really create swag. You just have to have swag. Like you got swag. I'm like, okay, this guy's pretty cool. So I went there I'm always wanting to personal growth because your business is no different than you are personal. I mean, your personality is your business. I mean, it's all
Right.
combined, and so you are your business. So if I look at a business, I look at the person behind the business. I'm like, oh, it should be the same. But anyways, you started talking about some techniques, and I'm like, oh my gosh. For years, my advisors or AEs are always their job is to have discovery calls. It's always that clarity. It's like, can I get a script, Shawn? Can I get this? What do I say? And like this guy's
Hmm.
all of a sudden talking about clarity and collaboration and consistency and then you did something. Oh, if someone else gets the video and a whole bunch of people have to make the decision about it, now all of a sudden it's the same. I'm like, whew, like that light bulb. So I hunted you down like a dog after that event, and I joined your workshop. And
So that's my
I'm
first
like,
memory of
oh,
you
this
is
is
being
really
in the
cool.
mastermind.
So I got into your workshop after seeing you on stage. I said, I got to check this out. And I said, oh, he's in Scottsdale. Okay, got it. He's in Scottsdale. All right, got it. I got it. So he's in there. So you're in there, you're crushing it. And I'm learning about putting this light in front of my face and doing this. And then just the whole thing came together. I'm like, this completely changes my company. And so I went to events like this because I learned you got to network up. So I'm like, oh, Hartley owns this space of clarity through video, going out and crushing it in business. I mean, not many people I've ever met, if anyone's responsible for 6 billion in sales, I'm like this guy, I love him. Now I had to do the workshop twice, and I said, you know what, Todd, I'm going to hire you and come into my company and sort of customize this program to what I'm doing. And then we also, my wife and I met you out, and by the way, Brandy told me to tell you that she goes, great men are made by great women. So you and I got really lucky with great wives. So she
Yes.
wanted me to remind to
Yes.
say that to you today. I didn't want to get
How
in
could we
trouble and not
forget?
put that
How could
out
we
there.
forget?
Right, right. So at Tyler McBroom's, when you were speaking at Tyler McBroom's session out there, Brandy and I got a little bit more one-on-one time
Yeah.
with you, and that was really great. We
Yeah, that was
treasured
fun.
that.
That
So
was one of those,
it's been
that was one of those,
that.
yeah, it was one of those really
Oh, during a
remarkable
hurricane.
days during a hurricane. Yeah. And when we all got the alert on our phones in Florida, this is the worst part of the story. When we got the alert on our phones that the hurricane was coming, I was wearing
Right.
a rock t-shirt that said, "Rock me like a hurricane." And now where everybody's getting alerts that there's a hurricane and I'm the a-hole walking around with a shirt celebrating
Oh, that's
hurricanes.
so
It
good.
was a,
Oh, I love
it was
that.
a, it was
That's awesome.
horrible. And then
Yeah.
right after the event, we all had to evacuate in order to get out of town. And I couldn't get out a flight back to Arizona. So I had to Uber from the
Oh,
east coast of Florida to the
did you go
west
to the West
coast
Coast? Oh my gosh, Todd, I
to get
forgot
on an
about that.
airplane.
Didn't
Yeah.
you fly to like Fort Myers or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. And the funny thing
Oh,
about it was our Uber driver did 2.5 hours of a drive for us, but the dude didn't speak any English. So we had no time, no ability to communicate with him. And he had to make some stops and get some gas, and we had to stop for food. It was like we just adopted this dude. It was a lot of fun. It was a great trip, and like
love.
look what's going on in your business. Like you guys are growing
Yeah.
freakishly, and with every growth comes residual. And what I really want you guys in the audience to know when I'm introducing you to Shawn is I want you to just be thinking about a smarter way to make your bank account healthy and to make your relationships more consistent. And if you can get yourself off of the roller coaster in life, and you guys know what I mean by the roller coaster, money's good, money's bad, and then we do it all over again. And if we could come up with a smarter way to make money, then life becomes more consistent. And Shawn knows this, and I will let you guys know that one of my businesses is based off of recurring revenue. And I'm in the process of launching it because Shawn's had a huge impact on my life and for me to be thinking about business in a different way. And I would strongly encourage each and every one of you, as you're thinking about what your next decade or 3 decades of your life is going to look like, I would strongly encourage you to pick up a smarter way to make money and start taking Shawn Hull's genius and start building it into your life in a way where you can start to reshape what your bank account and your life looks like by having it be residual, which is a friggin' game changer. And I'm so excited for that building in my life, Shawn. Where can people learn more about you and the work that you get to do?
So if you go on Amazon, you do the smarter way to make money, type in Shawn Hall, you'll get the book. And if they go to bluecoastsavings.com, if they're kind of looking for this to do as a career, it's a great option. And if not, aspirepartners.com, if I just want to do it on, a sideline and I want to keep my corporate job and kind of play along with it, you've got that option. So we've got a way to serve everybody out there.
That's flexibility, right? And not everybody is looking for a full-time opportunity. Most people are already in a safe lily pad. And then let's talk about what we just did. Like you and I just completed a couple of Todd trainings for your entire
Oh my gosh.
force out there. And on Shawn's websites, inside for people that are introducing the services that to people that they already know, love, and trust and have relationships, inside of Shawn's websites, there is Todd in a box on demand teaching them how to book more meetings.
Todd, I got to tell you about
Super
that. Hold
cool.
on. I got people right now on mountaintops in Salt Lake City, 10,000 feet, sending me videos of themselves, thanks to you, heartfelt messages, thanking you. Now, and your last meeting was over the top. And so, look, we have hundreds of people a month joining us, right? Hundreds. I mean, I have, like, who's not going to do what we do? I mean, you got it, like, what? Don't you want to work smarter, right? Like,
Right.
get out of that rat race and the concept, what's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Like, let's get off that train, right? And get on
Yes.
residual training. But what I loved about your training is, Todd, every day we have people going and to watch them just change through all the value you built. Like you poured all the service. Like, how do I go do a video? You customize the services. I mean, it's awesome. So you're the center point now in our company, Todd. Like when we
Wow.
onboard a new person in Blue Coast, because they're going to make this a career, like, you have to use Hartley's method. Period. End of story. This is how you go crush it. Why? Because I want you to be successful, and I want you to go bring value. And we already do these massive values. And you even interviewed our vendors, for goodness sakes, and made it simple for our people by outlining what they
Yeah.
need to do on their side by side show and tell. So I thank you beyond, a million percent of the value that you did. And it's so cool daily watching people change. And that's why I do this, because I love to watch people change. And you're such a big part of that. So way to crush it, buddy.
Thank
That
you.
was awesome.
Thank you. I'm a big believer in when somebody gives you an opportunity, play full out, and the transformation that'll happen for the organization and for the individuals is, for me, a big part of the reward. I love being of service, and I look forward, my man, to catching up with you soon and being in person together. It's always fun. For more information, pick up Shawn Hull's book, A Smarter Way to Make Money. You can get it on Amazon. That's where I got it. And it showed up. And then wait, isn't there like a Todd Hartley dude, like a whole section in this book
Brother, you have
where
like
Todd
almost an
Hartley is.
entire chapter. What are you talking about? You have like almost an entire chapter. And you gave some giveaways. You gave a couple URLs to go dive in there, Todd, about, how to. So look, if someone's watching this, I'm not, I mean, I'm telling you, if you're not utilizing in today's aspect of what Todd teaches, I mean, people are going to be behind the scenes. They're going to be behind everybody else. And so first off, thanks for keeping me ahead of the pack, Todd, and keeping us successful, and helping us take, detailed messages and simplifying it and delivering that to our end user. Because that's killer, brother, how you did it. I mean, I've never seen anything on
Thank
the
you.
planet you've done. So please keep doing it. and amazing, man. Thank you for serving us. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Oh, it is an honor for me. He's Shawn Hull. For more information, don't wait around. Just go to bluecoastsavings.com, go to aspirepartners.com, pick up the dude's friggin' book. He's a genius, and it'll change the way your bank account loves you. And I can't wait to hear, as you guys start to create residual income in your life and just recurs monthly, please reach back out to me and let me know about that impact that is having on your life and even your relationship at home. And of course, your complexion, because once your bank account looks better, so does your skin, right? You know I'm right, Shawn.
Absolutely.
Right
Oh,
on.
final
Shawn,
for plastic surgery. Thank you.
thanks so much for joining me on the Toddcast, bud.
You're amazing, brother. Love you. Appreciate it. Thank
Love you
you.
too. All right, so
Bye.
that's Shawn joining us right now on the Toddcast. Yeah, for more information, you know where to go. bluecoastsavings.com, aspirepartners.com, and The Smarter Way to Make Money. You can pick it up on Amazon. And I'll look forward on the next episode. I'm going to introduce you to somebody else that's going to revolutionize the way you convince a convert or overcome challenges in your life so you can start playing at the next friggin' level where you already deserve to be.
Yo, that was a powerful episode. And from what we just learned, it should be obvious how you can now implement these lessons in your life to get to the next level. Now, before you bounce, I just have 3 quick thoughts. First, thank you for taking me on your incredible life journey. Second, if you receive some value from me and you want to pay it forward, it would mean the world to me if you left an honest rating and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. I'd be incredibly grateful. And lastly, if you share this episode, whether it be a screenshot or a photo from where you're listening, anything via Instagram stories or LinkedIn, Facebook, or any of the social media sites, just tag me and the guest. I'll repost your content and I'll reply back in the comments because I love mixing it up. In fact, I'd love to share your shout outs in my feed too. Not only are these shout outs really good for you and for me, but they also help us book more amazing guests because they'll be able to see the reach that you're helping to cultivate. This is a way for you to help contribute to the show. So thank you again for listening, and I look forward to earning a regular spot inside that ear of yours. Let's grow.